So just to introduce myself and why I'm here, I just wanted to play you guys a 2-minute video just to give you some background here.
Out of wood. What if the world were carved right into the wood? What if the mountains were fully three-dimensional? What if you had a globe in your hand that let you feel the texture of our planet? Hi, I'm Mark. I live here in the Canadian Rockies, and I'm on a quest to make beautiful, tactile, custom wooden globes. Here's why.
Once I was travelling across an ice field in Antarctica when I was struck by the feeling that this is my home planet. It was close to midwinter, but there was enough light in the sky around noon to see peaks and glaciers to the east, the frozen sea littered with icebergs to the west. There was no sign of human life, no sign of any life. Despite the barrenness, or perhaps because of it, there was that feeling. This is where I live. This planet is my home. Since that day, in my travels on 7 continents, on the swell of the Atlantic and the dunes of the Sahara, along the canals of Venice and the alleyways of Jerusalem, on the steps of Varanasi and the streets of San Francisco, I've tried to recapture that feeling. I've always been fascinated with the idea of mapping this planet, the places we call here, the places we call elsewhere. And I've always been intrigued by the impossibility of representing a 3-dimensional planet on a 2-dimensional sheet of paper. No matter how carefully calculated our projections, no matter how creative our shadows and our contours, it can never be done. This Earth refuses to be flat. How to capture that refusal? How to capture the mountains, the valleys, the continents, the oceans? How to capture that feeling? This is where we live. This planet is our home. How to capture that feeling and hold it in our hands.
So that was part of a crowdfunding campaign that I launched earlier this year. I managed to raise $5,000 towards the cost of a CNC router, which I'm now using to make those pieces that I passed around and that I hope eventually to use to make a globe. So as you might imagine, with a line in my video like "This Earth refuses to be flat," I attracted a little bit of attention from people who believe that the Earth is actually not flat. So what I hadn't expected was how other people mocked these flat earthers. So this is the kind of thing that flat earthers believe. They believe the Earth is flat or flattish, as in this particular image, and that the Sun and the Moon are rotate above the Earth. Apparently, according to this one, on kind of long stalks to stop them from falling down. Flat earthers seem to have an explanation for everything. So how does satellites stay up? Well, they're suspended from weather balloons. You can see. I wish it was this easy to launch a satellite. How did NASA get all those lovely photos of the Earth? Well, they paid artists to paint them. And why don't the oceans flow off the edges of the Earth? Well, they're held in by an ice wall, also known as Antarctica. This is actually the view from my office window when I was working in Antarctica for the British Antarctic Survey for a couple of years, so not a bad view. So I have to admit, the Earth does look kind of flat. I've never actually met a flat earther face to face, but I've often wondered what I would say to them if I did. The thing is, I don't think there's anything that I could say to them to make them change their minds, because I don't think they trust people like me to tell them the truth. So why not? Well, let's take a look at the record in history of people like me when it comes to telling the truth. Trying to hide the evidence there. Here be dragons. So this is a map from 1430. Look at the dragon in Asia. I'll zoom into the top left there. There's this wonderful dragon up there There's also an inscription on the map. It says, here there are even men who have large 4-foot horns, and there are even serpents so large that they could eat an ox whole. This is another map from 1450. This one has an island of dragons in the Atlantic Ocean. And there's another inscription that insists that there are a number of dragons also in the mountains of Afghanistan, hunted by the locals for the stone in each dragon's forehead that cures many infirmities. This is a map from 1539. Look at all those fantastic sea creatures waiting to eat your ship on the voyage between Norway and Iceland. I love this serpent wrapping its way around the ship there. I would not like to be on those seas. So this is one bad habit that we generally have. If we don't know stuff, we sometimes kind of just make it up. Exhibit 2, Terra Australis Incognita. So this is a map from 1570. Look at the Terra Australis Nondum Cognita all the way along the bottom of the map there. No one had laid eyes on the southern continent in 1570. That's why they called it Incognita, unknown. This is another map, 1587. Look how big the Terra Australis is on this one. So why did we put an imaginary continent on the map? Well, there was a theory that the land in the northern hemisphere should be balanced by an equivalent amount of land in the southern hemisphere. But this is another bad habit we sometimes have. We like our theories, but we sometimes let them shape our reality rather than the other way around. Projections. So in 1569, Gerardus Mercator created this map. He devised a projection where if you sail your ship at a constant bearing, then you follow a straight line on the map. So this was revolutionary for nautical navigation. As we know, however, Africa is not the same size as Greenland as it kind of appears here. It's 14 times the size. And we all know that, of course. But nonetheless, this projection, which, by the way, I've seen a few times already in this conference, has had a real impact on our perception of the world. So just to take one example, it seems entirely appropriate that the Queen of the British Islands, as they're called on this map, should be declared Empress of India, given that the Indian subcontinent is kind of not much larger than those British islands. Only, of course, that's only on this map. In reality, it's again 14 times the size. So it's another bad habit we've developed through history. We sometimes twist the truth to our own ends. Exhibit 4. So this is a map that was produced by the British Antarctic Survey in 1997. The British Isles after the loss of the Antarctic ice sheet. It's a great map, I love it. I mean, you can see there's not much left of the east of the country and nothing at all left of London. So it's great, but the question is, are we going to lose the Antarctic ice sheet? And the answer is kind of probably not. Global warming might actually increase the precipitation over Antarctica, causing the ice sheet to actually thicken. So, are we losing glaciers in BC? Yes, we are, and it's a tragedy. But how are we going to persuade people like flat earthers that we're telling the truth about what's happening in BC when we sort of kind of fudged the truth a little bit when it came to this map? Another bad habit. We sometimes overestimate and overstate how much we really know. So here's the thing. Obviously, the British Antarctic Survey was trying to do the right thing in warning people about climate change. Mercator was trying to fix nautical navigation, not distort people's perceptions of the world. And the cartographers who invented the Terra Australis Incognita, excuse my Latin, I always stumble over that one. They were only trying to extrapolate from limited data. And the painters of all those dragons and sea serpents were just trying to make sense of sailors' tales. But you can see how this might all look to flat earthers who are maybe tired of being told things by people like me that turn out not to be true. So the flat earthers are wrong, obviously. The earth is round. There, now I've said it. But they're not fools. They're just convinced that people like me are trying to pull the wool over their eyes. And sometimes, just sometimes, they have a point. So once again, I'm Mark from Goodwood Globes. I hope you've enjoyed taking a look at my pieces. Please come and talk to me over lunch. I'd love to talk about these three-dimensional maps more and my plans to move towards creating a fully three-dimensional globe. Thanks very much.